Coming up right now, the newest episode from Carr, Gwyn, and Ode on Three Pagans and a Cat.
Welcome to Three Pagans and a Cat, MPF 2018. Release the Kraken.
Episode 14 of Three Pagans and a Cat. You may call me Ode.
You can call me... Oh, sorry, you can call me Carr.
Not going to be doing that through the whole thing.
No. And Merry Meet, I'm Gwyn, Ode's mother, and yeah.
Yeah. So as you might have been able to tell from our regular opening, we don't have notes and things prepared for this episode.
This is our free-form episode.
This is another special episode like Convocation 2018, where we just talk about the thing we went to and about all the loot we got.
And it was awesome.
It was very awesome. We were there for 3 days? Yes, 2 days.
Yes, 3 days.
Well, I was there for 3 days. Y'all were there for 2 days.
Right.
Well, I was there for 2 days and a piece.
2 days and a bit. So, as you all might be aware, especially if you've been on the Facebook, we got the notification that we were teaching at Michigan Pagan Fest a little late.
3 weeks before
a little late in the
Michigan
game,
Pagan
a little
Fest.
later than we expected to have that kind of information.
Right.
And consequently, we didn't and especially since it had come right after Gwyn's surgery, we didn't have any, money set aside for this.
Not a
Very
bit.
true.
And since we had been... Our proposal to teach 3 classes had been accepted, we had to go all 3 days.
Right. Yep.
So we needed to come up with a pretty substantial chunk of change.
Yep. Yeah. So we have some people to thank for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we put up a GoFundMe.
Yep.
And several of you, really...
You responded, and you really
saved our bacon, too.
Our bacon and our bacon, because you helped get us there. We really cannot thank you enough. Seriously.
But I'm going to attempt to thank them.
We're going to attempt
A little bit.
It won't be enough, but... So, Justin Stanage, thank you. Tally Thomason, thank you. Daria McNamara, thank you. Jonathan Wood, thank you. And Private Donor, thank you. It's kind of like Tiny Dancer, only different.
Honestly, thank you guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
We literally could not have done this without your help. It means everything. It really does.
It really does.
It really does.
So our whole thing for this was crazy because Gwyn couldn't get Friday off.
Yeah, she had a work obligation,
work
which ended up
obligation.
being stupid.
And pointless. I didn't even need to be there, but, it is what it is.
But she had an obligation to her boss to be there.
Right, yep.
Especially after missing 3 weeks.
Yeah,
Not that long ago.
surgery.
Right. Because of that, Ode and I got up at 3:30 in the morning, which is just stupid early.
It's a time I would usually just still be awake.
Right, exactly. And we got in the car and we drove to Detroit.
And we saw a great sunrise on the way, by the way.
Sunrise.
It was totally, awesome. We were driving east, so we were driving towards the sun.
Yep.
And it was in either one of the front windows or our windshield the entire drive. It was great.
Yeah, it was gorgeous. And I kind of understand the whole golden dawn thing.
Yeah.
It was the first time I saw, a truly golden dawn.
Yeah, it started out really red and it got kind of rosy, and then as it crested the horizon, the whole sky was liquid gold. It was astonishing.
It was really cool. So anyway, we got over there. We did our first class, which we did the Building Your Book series, very condensed version. Yeah. And then I basically walked back to the car and got back in and drove 2.5 hours to pick up Gwyn, and then turned around and drove 2.5 hours back through a rainstorm.
Oh, it was downpouring. We could hardly see the cars in front of us.
It did not rain at Michigan Pagan Fest.
It was supposed to, but
at
apparently...
least not during that time.
Apparently, where Michigan Pagan Fest... The fairgrounds there.
The Wayne County Fairgrounds,
Fairgrounds. It was apparently a corridor of peace with
through the storm zone.
Where as the storm raged
just kept
around
separating it,
on each side. So it was really very cool.
So anyway, it was 7.5 hours of driving for me on Friday.
Right.
So Gwyn and I got back to Detroit.
About 4:30, 4:45.
Yep. And,
Also known as Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit. So I'm sure it's the correct
Technically, we were
pronunciation.
not in Detroit.
No,
we were
we're
in
in
Belleville.
Yeah.
Belleville.
And so then we decided to walk through the
vendor area.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized, well, we probably walked through for an hour and a half or so.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yep. And then I
we
realized
did a pretty good first
I was
pass.
just ridiculously tired and we needed to go get into the hotel
and sleep.
so I could go to bed.
Right.
Which we then didn't do.
We didn't do that. We left at 8 or something.
Yep.
and went to the hotel so that Car could sleep.
And I laid down.
He laid down on the bed and did not go to bed until like 11. So
No, it's because we kept coming up with cool ideas of a
the
ritual to
class.
do.
yeah, we kept talking about the class and making plots and plans.
Yep. So craziness. So then the next day, which was Saturday, we got up not as ridiculously early,
Right.
but early enough. And because we're newbies to teaching at things like Michigan Pagan Fest, we were the first one every morning at 9 a.m.
And also just because somebody has to fill the 9 a.m. slot.
Right,
That's
exactly.
right.
And
That's right.
so...
Although we had stiff competition.
Yeah,
We really did,
I was
yeah.
going to say, Bob and Teddy Shout is teaching at 9
I
a.m.,
know.
so I don't know what you're talking about. Somebody
Actually,
just has to fill 9 a.m.
Twice he was teaching when we were
Yeah,
doing
so we
our
couldn't
class.
go to his classes. It was
which
very
was kind
grieving.
of yeah,
There were a lot of
exactly.
classes that were happening at the same time. Our classes that were
And we
happening
were
that I was
just
like,
kinda-
why are we teaching? I want to go to this.
I know. It's like, man, it's the ultimate conundrum
So-
of the person
The very
who
first
So
day,
next
the
year-
very first day when we were teaching, Bob and Teddy Shout was teaching the Mirror of Amaterasu and Me Too, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
So maybe next year I'll teach and you all just go to classes because I don't go to classes anyway.
That Car never goes to classes.
No, he never
didn't,
does.
he didn't go in
Well, no,
convocation.
that's not
He went
true.
to one class.
You did go to one class.
I
and
did.
The
Weekend.
reason you didn't go to the other class was because you had to come and get me.
That's true. I did have two classes I wanted to go to this
And what
time.
class he ended up going to.
and was able to make one of them, which probably surprised everybody.
Yeah.
Since at convocation I went to no
No,
classes.
zero amount of classes,
So-
yeah.
Anyway, so what do we want to cover first? Do we want to cover like all the junk you all bought?
All the loot. Yeah, I don't know
Right.
why you're saying you all. You bought
You
stuff.
bought
Also,
stuff, too.
don't call it junk. We got these from vendors we like. What's wrong with
And
you?
it's not junk, it's useful things for our craft.
Well, I realized that.
So
but
don't even.
it's
Don't
just-
go there.
Oh my gosh.
It's loot.
It's loot.
It's the Kraken. That's all I got. That's all I got,
Booty.
people. All right, go ahead.
You want to start, Gwyn?
Okay.
You have way more stuff than anybody.
Her loot is arrayed around her on the desk, and it is a
Well,
haul.
part of this is because one shop in particular, which is called Rhiannon's Apothecary, had herbs for $1 a bag.
Yes.
And she had an arrangement.
The prices at Rhiannon's Apothecary
Oh my God.
are
So
really, really good.
I was able to get horehound and bone set and horsetail and pine, dandelion root, yarrow, nettle. I mean, I got all these wonderful herbs to add to my apothecary. And then she also does herbal teas. So I got a tummy tea to
Help the tummy.
to help
tummy
the tummy,
things, yeah.
you know, because of the whole surgery thing. So I'm always, you know, in that vibe right now. But so, and then you got something from there as well.
I
And
did,
so did
yeah.
I.
Yeah, actually, we all did.
I went there Friday and was looking through her herbs, and she didn't have any mugwort in.
Oh, that's right.
She didn't have any mugwort in the
Individual
in the
bags.
individual bags, but she had these mugwort bundles for
Huge.
For smoking.
for
Yeah.
recaning that she was selling for $5. Huge bundle.
Huge.
So I bought one of those, and then I asked her if she was going to have any more mugwort, and she said, "Well, I don't have any right now. I thought I still had some, but you're saying I don't have any, so I'll go home and I have some dried and ready to go." So the next day, she brought a whole bunch of mugwort,
And I
was
also-
able to buy some of that for $1.
I also bought one of those very large mugwort
Yeah, bundles.
bundles.
Yeah.
But here's the cool thing about that mugwort. It was actually heirloom mugwort from Circle Sanctuary.
Yep.
From the mugwort hedges around Circle Sanctuary.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was pretty cool. We had amazing finds, and for very little money spent, really, because it was $1 a friggin' bag.
The price was really, really
And
good.
we're talking a mugwort bundle that easily could have retailed for $15, $20.
It's enormous. It's almost
huge.
a foot
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
huge.
of mugwort.
And just superb quality.
Yep.
And then what did you get?
And then I bought from Rhiannon's Apothecary a book called A Tree for the Earth Mother, which was put together by Drum from the ADF, who's the archdruid of the ADF. And it's, I would say, devotionals or prayers
yeah.
for Mother Earth. For the Earth
Compiled
Mother.
from a bunch of sources.
Yeah, from a bunch
in a
of
bunch of
different
languages.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dom the Bard's in here, Philip Cargom. Yeah, it's very cool. So, and we've already actually, used
We
part
looked
of it.
through it. Yeah, it's very cool.
Yep. And then I bought two, I want to say they're probably 3-inch.
Two to 3 inch.
2
Yeah.
to 3 inch wood cuts that, one has a triskele on it and the other one has the Alwyn on it that I wanted to put on my altar.
Yeah,
I wear an Alwyn, but I wanted one there as well.
They're wooden rounds that look like they were cut from branches.
Yep.
And the
wood
designs
burned
are
in.
wood burned.
Yep,
Yeah,
exactly.
So they're very nice.
Yep.
And we can, we'll take pictures of the things that we got
The
from
loot.
from the loot from Rhiannon's Apothecary, and include a link maybe I'll write a blog after I've used some of it, because
That would be a good thing. Yep.
we want to support. That's one of the reasons why we do this. We want to support pagan artisans, and especially ones that have such useful things that you can add to your collection.
Yep. And Rhiannon's Apothecary is on Facebook, and so you can find her there. Mm-hmm. We'll include a link to her in the
Notes for
on this particular episode. Mm-hmm. So cool. What else did you get?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gwyn
Because
got
I
so
have
much.
now covered everything I got.
No, that's not technically
That's
speaking
not technically true.
I didn't get that.
true. It was gotten
It
for
was
you.
gotten
It was
for
gotten
you.
for me.
There was a vendor there,
Twisted Willow.
Twisted Willow.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's natural soaps and I think there was
assorted Bath and Body Works type
Bath and
stuff.
Body
Yeah.
Works type things.
Deodorant.
And they had a really nice special going on, so we were able to get things from there. And it was like deodorant and beard oil for car and room spray and soap.
I got a soap called 313 Grind, which is a coffee and cream soap. It's got like coffee grounds in it. I'm looking forward to it.
But here's the thing, guys, like the deodorant, and all of the products that I believe are organic and they're handcrafted, they're cruelty free, they're
No sulfates.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
sulfates, they're paraben free, and my friends, it's pagan owned.
Right.
So we want to support a pagan owned business
Yep.
that does this kind of outstanding bath and body work. And
And I can't tell you how many scents of soap they
God.
had there.
yeah.
Dozens.
30?
Yeah,
30,
they had
30,
so
yeah.
many out there
Yeah.
on the display.
And I can vouch for the deodorant. It works incredibly well. So,
I can vouch for it too because I was with you most of the time you were wearing it. It didn't bother me. So
I just really want to give a shout out to Twisted Willow. We'll include all the links
Yep.
to the shop online.
You can
and
just
I believe,
assume we're going to be including
Yeah.
links to things.
and I believe they also have a storefront now.
A physical.
I
don't know.
I think it's in Ypsilanti. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I can double check on that. It's wonderful stuff, and like I said, it's pagan owned. So let's support this business.
okay, next thing that you got.
Was this pendulum necklace?
Yeah,
because
it's technically a necklace.
it is technically a necklace, but I used my necklaces
As pendulums. Yep.
It's an amethyst on a silver chain from the Silver Gypsy,
And it's silver. It's sterling silver, I
Yep.
believe.
Sterling silver,
She
yep.
works in, she wraps sterling silver to make jewelry. And the thing that really impressed me about her was her passion for the materials that she works with. For instance, this stone, it's kind of an odd shape.
Yeah, it is.
And she was telling me, I was following what the regular rules are for wrapping jewelry, and it just wasn't working. So she said, I just decided to stop and just kind of contemplate the stone and feel it and kind of feel its energy and vibration. And she said, and then all of a sudden I was just wrapping it, and it turned out exactly as the way you see it now. And so she, at least with this piece, and I would imagine for the other pieces she works with, she's very intuitive
right.
to how she wraps her jewelry. And she's got a whole range of different things, varying prices.
She has some lovely pieces.
Yeah,
Yep.
some beautiful pieces. Some are a little more expensive than others. This was a very reasonable piece. The Silver Gypsy, she's working on her website. It's not currently very user-friendly. She did say she is on Facebook, but she doesn't work very much on Facebook, so it's a little hard to find her right now. She said she's going to get a new website up in January.
Okay.
We'll do the best we can to link you to the Silver Gypsy, but just kind of, she does a lot of these types of festivals and things, so
Right.
kind of keep a lookout for her.
Yep, we can also dump a phone number or an email address if we
Yeah.
have those. I know we have the phone number.
And she does, I believe she said she does do some special requests.
Custom orders,
Some
yeah.
custom orders.
All right, what else? Because I know you have more. You're going to hear this a lot. And what else?
What else? Okay, sorry. And like I said, I support the pagan
Okay.
peeps.
Tell us the next thing.
Okay, the next thing is from Pam's Mystic Garden. She did like a unique collection of candles, books that like are notebooks but have special covers that she's created for them,
covers, yep.
and then decorative boxes. And what I bought was a very reasonably priced notebook that has a decorative cover on it.
She bought it to take notes during her classes, but she ended up not using it for that.
No, I didn't, because I at one point I got the sense that while we were in
it was one of our classes. We were doing one of our classes, and one of the
It's
guys.
always good when one of your own classes speaks to you.
One of the one of the guys who was in our second class, I think, on Saturday, was talking about he had a book that was dedicated to a specific god that he works with.
Right.
And Gwyn got a ping from Brigid saying, "Hey, you know that book you just got? It's mine."
Well, actually, I hadn't bought it yet. I had been looking at these notebooks.
Right.
They were, and I wasn't actually intending to get one. Then I thought, well, maybe I'll get it for notes, but I hadn't bought one yet. Yeah, she kind of pinged me and said, "That's a great idea." And so
I want one.
I want one. So this book is now dedicated to her.
Cool. I'm not going to let you go next.
Okay, fine.
You do one.
Yeah, she's looking a little bored.
The things that I got are things that both Gwyn and I got, ironically. I got
So I don't have to talk about that one.
That's true.
the first day I was there, I got these really interesting matchboxes from a store I can't remember the name of.
Right, and
which is
none of us
terrible.
can. We've all been by. We all
We
talked to her.
I was there like
She was
3
wonderful.
times. I talked to her
She sold
extensively.
wands as well as
she
these
sold wands.
matchboxes.
She sold these matchboxes. But she was selling these matchboxes. They were priced to move. She was selling them for $4 and they were buy one, get two free.
Right.
And they're these huge boxes of matches that she's decorated the front and back sides of the matchboxes differently on each side, little collages, and they're really, really pretty.
And each one was unique.
Yeah.
Yeah, each one was different, and there were no two alike. And then I bought one, got my 2 free ones, and then I also bought a small matchbox, also
And tell
decorated.
everybody why you bought the small one.
For 50 cents. And I bought the small one because there are 2 things I love in this life, owls and dead things. And I picked it up because there was an owl on the side that was facing me. And when I turned it over, it said zombies recycle too. And when I was in high school, spent my entire high school art career drawing nothing but zombies.
Yeah.
So it could not have been better designed for me if like she had known me personally and set it out specifically as a trap.
Yeah.
So I got that. I got that with the money that was hypothetically for me to buy food with.
Right, exactly.
And
Yeah.
instead I bought enough matches that hopefully I won't have to buy matches again
Ever
for
again.
a million years.
Yep.
And then she showed them to me, and I said, "Oh, that's cool." And I went and bought 1 box and got 2 free, and one of those is now actually decorating.
Yeah, the shelf with all the
all the
candles
incense and candles
Gotcha.
and stuff.
So it's sitting up there decoratively.
It's decorative though, but if you needed a match,
Right, exactly. Just pull a match out.
Right,
Yeah.
yep,
So it's
yep.
actually it's very nice and multi-purpose.
It
I'm probably
is.
I'm not gonna throw these boxes out after I'm out of matches. I'll probably go buy matches at the store and put them in the good box.
Put them in the good box because it's decorative
Well,
and
eventually
useful.
the striker's going to go out on those.
Well,
so.
And then they're
that's-
just pretty.
Yeah, and then they're just for decorate. But there's strikers on 2 sides, so I've got some time.
And it's witchy stuff on both sides. It's really cool.
Yeah, so it was really lovely. And then I was there with instructions from my brother and money from him to buy him things. So I was walking around looking for things that he might like. I came across Shadow Bear and Arrow's booth.
Yep.
And they were selling, Shadow Bear was the one who was there, I think, while we were there.
He
was selling railroad spikes, which my brother wanted. But he was also selling these protection amulets. He had some that had metal on them, and he had some that had no metal on them at all. And my brother's allergic to metal, so I was like, perfect, I'm going to get one for my brother. Because this is something he can actually wear. But they're really, really interesting. And so what ended up happening was that I bought one for my brother, I bought one for myself, and Gwyn bought one for herself after I brought her over there.
Well, because both Carr and Ode were like, look at this. Isn't this cool?
Yeah.
The Shadow Bear is a cunning man who clearly knows his shit. Like, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
These are really well constructed amulets. They're beautiful. They're made out of leather, and there's, some beadwork to make it pretty. But then the amulet is a leather pouch that's been sewn shut. The ones that Gwyn and I have pentacles sewn into the front. The one we got for my brother has a puka shell sewn into the front. But he wrote down for me what they contain. So the protection bundles contain a black locust spike for a hedge of protection. a mercury dime for the silver, a piece of obsidian, and then a hand-drawn sator square charm, which he gave us some little examples of the charms he does, and they all contain the same elements, so they all have the sator square, they all have whosoever bears this charm incantation.
Right.
They have ahi ani aglialim. So they have all these sort of traditional protection signs on them, but they're all individual, all hand created, like very carefully with purpose in black and red ink. And so they're like the charms themselves, although you will never see them
because
inside because it's sewn into the pouch. The charms themselves are beautiful works of art.
Right, yeah.
So I'll take photos of these definitely and put them up in the notes because they're really, really beautiful charms that
no one
will ever see because they're doing their job in the pouch.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but these amulets are really, really nice. They're on a long leather cord, so you can wear it like long enough that it'll be under your shirt.
Right.
If you don't want it to be visible.
And if I remember correctly, he said he himself is of Native American heritage and was taught by...
he's 1/16 Native.
Cherokee.
And then Scotch-Irish.
And Scotch-Irish, yeah.
And he was taught by a Native American healer, right?
What he told us was that his initial training was with a Native teacher who, when he finished that training, told him to go and learn the skills from the other side of his heritage. And
that's when he got into Celtic.
When he got into the Celtic stuff and into the Appalachian cunning traditions.
And then he kind of has melded them into what he does now. Yep. And what he told me is the reason that he created these pouches was because a friend of his was a paranormal investigator. He felt like something had attached itself to him and he was having difficulty. And so he went to his friend because his friend was a conjure man.
A cunning man, yeah.
A cunning man. And he said, do you have anything that can help me? And that's when he created this pouch.
Yeah, apparently he went through like a whole cleansing situation for his friend to break the attachment. And then he created these protection bundles for him to wear into these situations so that he wouldn't get a new attachment.
Right.
And so now he started creating them and putting them up for sale. And they're normally $28. They were $20 for the festival.
Yeah.
Well worth it, honestly. I love this thing. It's really like the craftsmanship is really nice. I would wear this like just decoratively, probably.
Yeah, without all the protection stuff in it.
Right,
yeah.
but like this is a no screwing around protection amulet. Like this is legit.
Yeah.
And that's what he said. He really feels like his calling,
Deterrence.
his mission, his whole purpose is to create protection for people and to assist people like that.
So that you don't get into the situation where you need a hardcore uncrossing or anything.
Exactly.
So the only thing I would caution is that the leather, it's hard to tie a knot in the leather when you're tying it around your neck. Either double knot it at a length that you're pretty sure you're not going to want to change it, or just like be aware of it, because I had mine fall off a couple of times because I hadn't knotted it sufficiently.
And if you have any kind of jewelry making skills,
yeah, exactly. You could add a clasp,
which I can do that for hours.
I'm probably not going to do that. I like knotting it.
Okay,
but yeah, like if you're worried about that, you can add a clasp.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So, Gwyn, did you have anything else that you purchased that we need to talk about?
Just these bracelets.
Oh, that's
actually.
right.
They were the last that I got, and I was really glad I was able to get them. It was the last day. It's a seller.
Be My Full Moon.
Yeah, Be My Full Moon. She does a whole array of different things. She does a lot of sewn craft and knit craft and things like that. Mm-hmm. So I think even her card, it says steampunk costumes, alternative fashions, and more.
Yeah.
And she just threw together these crocheted bracelets for the festival.
They're made with hemp and wood beads.
Yep, hemp and wood beads. And the ones and she had a special going for, for the festival, like everybody did. So it was 3 for $20. They're normally anywhere from $7 to $9 a piece. Depending on the wood. The ones that I bought were Vera wood, rosewood, and sandalwood. And what was cool is that with each bracelet, she includes a little slip of paper that tells you what each individual wood is good for.
Right.
You know, what you would wear it for. For instance, the sandalwood is for basic powers, clairvoyance, divination, good luck, meditation, protection, and success. And she recommends just putting them on and wearing them. They're safe to wear in the shower. The idea is that you wear them until they break.
Right.
And then once they're broken,
They've done their job.
They've done their job.
Yep. And then you should get rid of them.
You
bury
them
toss
toss them into water because it's all biodegradable.
Moving
it's all
water.
safe. Yeah, moving water. Yep.
Yep.
So hemp always will break down. That's just the nature of it because it's plant-based.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very cool. I really
I think
like
they're
those.
very, very cool. They'd make a wonderful Yule gift for
Yep.
someone, or any kind of a gift that you want to give, or maybe
Especially if you know if someone's dealing with something specific and if you can get them
Right.
a bracelet that corresponds to their problem.
exactly like one of them that I got, which
the Vera wood
the Vera wood.
for healing.
Healing, strength, divination, spirituality, and protection.
Yeah.
So, I'm wearing it for healing.
Right. Yep. All right, and then
And I think that's all our loot.
Yeah, that's all the loot. Thank
That is
goodness.
the loot. But
It was loot. There were many
Oh,
more things.
so many sellers.
Many more vendors
it was
that we
one
wanted.
of the nicest vendor
It honestly was.
Areas,
and
yeah.
the
areas
setup was
that I've seen.
the way it was set up was really nice too. We should really commend whoever set up that layout
Yeah.
in the
there was
vending
space
building.
to walk.
You
Yeah.
never felt like you were getting crowded out.
Right.
You had an opportunity to look and
To
to
browse.
browse.
Yep.
Because
Even
I've
when
been
it was busy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I've been to these before where like the lanes are so narrow that everyone's just sort of shuffling along, glancing from side
Because
to side
the
without
rooms
stopping.
are usually
Right.
so small.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was a really nice vendor space.
Just as a shout out to Michigan Pagan Fest as a whole, they did an amazing job with the time that we were. I mean, we were there 3 of the 4 days.
Right.
Everything ran smoothly.
Even when there were hiccups, they were handled so
Right.
gracefully.
Yeah,
They were,
exactly.
They were. The space was good because it's the fairground, the 4-H fairground in Wayne County.
Yes.
Yeah.
They made good use of the buildings.
Yeah.
They made good use of the outdoor space when it wasn't
Right, when
raining.
it wasn't
Right.
sprinkling.
And sometimes even when it was sprinkling, because they had covered areas. It was really well put together, and it was just, they kept everybody on task.
Yeah. So I'm going to read the special guests who were there.
Yeah,
All right.
the headliners.
So I'm going to read the headliners because I actually didn't see any of them. So that's not true. I had some one-on-one talks with them,
Right.
but I didn't go to any other classes. So Orion Foxwood was there. Bobby Teddy Jow, Byron Ballard, Belladonna Laveau, Dusty Damone, Lady Bonadie, Brian Henke, and Lady Dame
Yep.
were the
And
headliners.
they were great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were good. They were really good. We got to go, especially Ode and I,
Yep.
got to go to several classes with the headliners, and
Yeah,
I know
it was
I
excellent.
enjoyed mine.
It was excellent. The classes we went to were great. I don't know if we want to get into individual breakdowns on all of
Yeah,
them.
why
but-
not?
Okay.
I mean, yeah, just quickly. But
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I think the people would be interested as to what classes you made it to.
Right.
And, just so that if you've never been to a festival like this.
Right, you can see
this
what
is
kind of
kind
stuff.
of the sum that you...
This is kind of what you
Kind of the
experience.
sum.
Kind of the sum.
Kind of the sum
Kind
that
of
you would get into.
what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
This
Apparently
is,
I've been hanging out with
this
people
is the
from the
math.
South too much.
Like, So the first day we did our class, and then Car left, and I went immediately to Orion Foxwood's Charms of Enchantment class, which I wasn't sure I even wanted to go to.
Yeah.
Because I don't use rhymes.
I'm so glad
very
you went
much.
though, because that was a class I wanted to go
Right.
to and couldn't because I had to work.
So I don't like traditionally use and I try to, this is something that I do partly as like a lesson to myself. Like when I write hails and stuff like that for my work or for my prayers, I try intentionally to use like very straightforward language.
Right.
Because I know that if I don't, I'm going to take myself too seriously. And I know that like when my ancestors were praying, they probably just used what was for them perfectly normal, straightforward
yeah,
language.
exactly, yeah.
So I make a concentrated effort not to get overwrought.
Right.
And that's why I don't rhyme things, because I know I'm going to sit there and like carefully, meticulously, like I took English, I can put together a poem, but I try not to do that. Even though it's like a tradition in heathen.
I took English. I couldn't put together a poem.
Well, I took AP English. And creative writing. So I know how to put together a poem.
Well, la-di-da.
At least hypothetically. Don't ask me to write an actual ode, though. God, that's a pain in the ass.
Okay, so anyway, you went to the church.
So I don't usually go do rhyming things, so I wasn't completely sure if I wanted to go to this. But I went to it, just to sort of see, because Carr encouraged me, like, well, just go and see what it's like, and if you don't like it, you don't have to stay.
Right, yep.
And I was like, okay, well,
You
fair
can always
enough.
walk out on a class.
That's
Yeah,
right.
exactly. So I was like, all right, fair enough. I'll go and see how it is. Orion Foxwood is the greatest person. I loved his classes.
He's awesome. He really is.
We now have a saying in our family.
Orion said.
Orion says.
Orion said today.
Yeah, today Orion said.
So we
Orion
just,
said the other day. Orion said over the weekend. One of the things Orion said was,
basically the entire drive back was that.
we were just talking
Really
about,
was.
the things we had learned, and I kept going, well, one of the things Orion said this weekend.
And I did the same thing. I only had one class with Orion.
I ended up going to two because I went to this one and I loved it so much that on Sunday I went to another one of his classes.
Right, yeah.
I'm going to have all of his books.
Yeah, it was really, really good. I loved it so much. First of all, he's just a very personable character. Like
He's Southern.
he's got a lot of charisma, and
Yep.
he's just sort of nice to listen to. Like he just seems very friendly.
And quite honestly, he has the best beard.
He does.
He does.
Anybody
He
I've ever
does.
seen. It's short.
Google Orion Foxwood and go to image search. His beard is so good.
Yeah.
It's short, but it's like meticulous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
the best. It's the greatest. Like, there's no competition
Right,
for that
yeah.
beard.
But beyond his beard, he is an old soul, for one thing.
Yeah.
He really is. And he's a seer as well as a conjure man. He is just full, he's a font of knowledge.
Of wisdom.
Yeah.
I think one of the things I said to Gwyn was like, even if I don't agree with him on the particulars of everything, because we come from different traditions, and
Right,
like he's
yeah.
part of the fairy tradition. I have no idea about the fairy tradition. Like I went to a class about it. I still don't really understand the fairy tradition. What I said to Gwyn was that even if I don't agree with him about the particulars, there is some deep stuff in Orion,
Right.
in
He's
the
a deep
stuff,
well.
in what he says,
Yeah.
that like I could be analyzing the things Orion Foxwood says for the rest of my life.
Yeah, you can take just
And
a sentence.
not even scratch the surface.
Yeah, you can take just a sentence or a paragraph and just chew on that for days just to get all of the wisdom and insight from him. I
Yeah.
mean, that he has available.
That was not a short review
Okay.
of a class.
And I didn't even go into, like, this was the charms class. He taught us a bunch of charms. He said charms to us, and I've, like, this is like when I went to, working the runes with Sarah Thodenson
Right.
at Convocation.
Convocation, yeah.
I came out of Charms of Enchantment by Orion Foxwood having completely changed my mind about rhymes and chants and stuff.
Right, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Absolutely. And for anyone who's interested in the, I think I posted it in the group. There's 30 minutes of the class that I went to, which was on Magic with Muscle.
Yep.
And so watch the 30-minute clip of a...
get what you can.
Yeah, it was about an hour and a half of listening to Orion speak.
And he's not like a structured
good.
speaker.
No, he's
not.
not.
Gonna like hit a bunch of points and then move on.
No.
He's gonna sort of ramble, but it's good stories. And what I'm saying is there's stuff in those stories that
you
is
can learn
just
from.
as good as what you came there expecting to get.
I would like to ramble in our classes, but you don't let me.
No, I do not. A ramble begins and I'm like, that's nice, let's move on to the next topic. But I'll let Orion Foxwood ramble.
Okay.
Not least because I don't control him. Nobody does. So then I went to Working with Loki, which was Solanax Silver Star's class. And I went to this because I compulsively go to every class that has Loki's name in it.
Right.
It's just a thing. It was a good class. I didn't get a whole lot of new information, although it was nice to listen to Solanax because she, like me, has a not very good God phone. So, I was able to ask her like, hey, how do you get what you're supposed to be doing?
Right.
And she was like, divination and consulting with other practitioners. I was like, cool, I got a network, I guess.
Right, yeah.
And then I went to Lady Bonadia's Rage Beneath the Silent Sea, which was like a weird, like, talk therapy, like, magic workshop. It was interesting. I don't think it's for everybody, probably, but it was an interesting little experience.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, so that was Friday.
Right, which
basically.
nobody else did anything because they were traveling the whole time.
Right. Well, I was traveling the whole time.
Right. So then Saturday.
I went to, obviously I went to Orion's class, and then I also went to a class held by Lady Dame, and it was an ethics class, and we actually went to that after we had gone to an elders
The wisdom of the elders
Yeah.
was all of the headliners right after lunch.
Like a round table.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Talking about ethics and consent.
Right. And the topic for that session was consent.
Yeah. It was a very interesting roundtable.
Panel discussion.
And something that needs to be covered in the pagan community as a whole. We covered that.
Yep.
Yeah, briefly.
In Neo-Paganism and Sexual Abuse back in episode 2.
Yeah.
2 or 3.
Two or
yeah.
three.
Yeah, somewhere in there. So
Yeah, so it was an interesting discussion. You heard there were like 7 or 8 people on the panel. So it was interesting to hear everybody's wisdom and understanding on the various topics that are surrounding, that surround the concept and the understanding of what does consent mean.
Yep.
So that was interesting. And then I went to Lady Dame's class on ethics, on specifically pagan ethics. And the way Lady Dame teaches, it's more of she doesn't give a lecture. She's more of she asks questions and she wants the participation of her class. So it ended up being a discussion of, what does it mean to be an ethical person? What defines ethics? Do we go by the reed? Are you Wiccan? So does it even apply to you?
Yeah. Yep.
And ultimately, her kind of take on it was every pagan decides what their own ethics should be. She did say that as a community, we should have a
code of conduct.
A code of conduct, but also you can go so far and go no further.
Here are the lines.
Yeah, here are the lines. We did get to that.
And the lines don't move.
And the lines
You step on them, you get hit.
Yep.
Exactly. So those were the main things that I did on Saturday.
Yeah, that was
Ode and I went to a class.
Exactly.
I actually went to a class.
Yeah, Carr actually went to a
Carr
class,
and I
which
went
in
to
itself is a miracle.
class that I, again, wasn't intending to go to.
Right, yeah, you were actually going to go to an entirely different class and at the last minute changed.
I changed my mind at the last minute. I was going to go to the superheroes class by Shane Wheeler.
Yep.
And at the last minute, I decided I didn't care that much. Like, I figured they would, the only reason probably I was gonna go was I was like, well, Loki is gonna show up. Loki and Thor are gonna show up in this conversation, and I guess I should be there for that. But in the end, I decided, like, I just don't care that much. Like, my relationship with Loki and Thor and the Marvel versions of that is, like, complicated enough, and I didn't want to, like, deal with that at that moment.
Yeah.
So I decided to go with Carr to the ADF core ritual as taught by Drum Pagano.
Yes, who is the archdruid of the ADF.
And the husband of Rhiannon.
Yes,
from Rhiannon's Apothecary.
Yep. Which I dug because, I really wanted to spend a little bit of time with Drum, just to meet him. So that was cool for me as a member of the ADF to meet the archdruid of the ADF and find out that he's just a normal person. Having to deal with everyday crap. Literally, his job required that his first class he didn't even teach. The one I missed.
Because he had an emergency work obligation.
Emergency work obligation, which really took him through the entire festival. But he did break out enough time, an hour and a half, to teach this class on the core ritual. And I got so much out of it.
It was really interesting, yeah. Like, I've read a little bit of stuff about ADF Ritual on the
because I've sent you stuff.
On the ADF website, and that Carr has sent me to. But I didn't really understand it, and it was hard for me to sort of break down what the various pieces were and why they mattered. So it was really interesting to hear Drum talk about that. And then at the end, I was able to ask him a few questions, get some clarification on
Right, yep. Yeah, and I think the cool thing about the core ritual is that it's an ADF ritual that you do for the public.
Right. It's a template.
Right. It's a template that you need to use for the public if it's going to be an ADF ritual. But if you're doing ritual at home,
right. As long as you don't claim that it's an ADF ritual.
Right, exactly. Right. Which I thought was kind of cool. Like, they have that amount of flexibility in it. And even in the ritual that you all did when we got back.
Right. We took some elements out of
We took some elements of the ADF core ritual and melded those into it. Yeah. Which was kind of cool. And if you all want to see that, it's on our Facebook group, not on the page.
Yeah, it's in the group.
Yep. So if you're not a part of our Facebook group, you need to be in order to be able to see that video.
Yep.
Right. I do want to say that ritual that we came up with, we all three did participate with conceiving
it,
it and
constructing it.
Carr
didn't participate in the actual ritual because he doesn't do magic.
Right.
Well, it wasn't just that. I was having a very off night.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't feel like my being a part of it would have been healthy for the ritual.
Right.
And
Which was actually why I didn't participate in the main ritual Saturday evening.
Right.
At the
Pagan Fest.
At the Pagan
Michigan
Fest.
Pagan Fest, yep.
But I did want to say that in this ritual that we have the video of, that all three elements were given by each of us into, so Carr's, even though he didn't participate in the actual
the hail to the Dagda was written with Carr's participation.
He created the wood shavings that were used in the cauldron and things like that. So, it was a neat ritual that we put together. I really enjoyed it, and
it was a lot of fun. That's why I didn't go to bed until 11 o'clock.
Yeah,
one night.
yeah. We started conceiving that Friday
night.
evening.
Yeah. So, and it turned out absolutely wonderful.
I went to one other class on Saturday,
cool.
Saturday morning after our class.
Okay.
I went to Sarenth Odinson and Amabrand's Nice to Meet You, How Do I Worship You? Which was an interesting class about sort of how to connect with spirits and sort of, there was a lot of discussion about there was a lot of stuff about, because especially in heathenry, we're in this position of having texts that were not written, and the Celtics too, are in this position of having lore, of having primary text that was not written by primary sources.
Right, yeah.
And then, as things are translated, they get broken, and so, it's hard to know what's legit about your sources. So there was some discussion about, sometimes maybe it's better to not assume that those things are true and to actually ask the spirits involved and the gods involved,
right.
Is this true? Do you want me to do this? And there was some interesting discussion about, getting consent from a spirit to do a thing. So, Sarenth pointed out that there are some local spirits of, creeks that have been polluted for so long that they're used to being polluted and they don't want you to fix it.
Right.
That's part of their thing now.
Right.
Is that they're this polluted creek. And if you go in there without getting permission and try to clean up the creek, that's not what they want from you.
Right.
So that was a really interesting discussion. It was a point of view I hadn't considered, which seems to always happen when I go to a Sarenth Odinson class.
Right, exactly.
So that was an interesting class for me.
Does that change, the cleaning up you were doing around here?
It's something I need to think about. Yeah, it's something I need to process. It was actually what brought it up is I was talking about, I've been cleaning up my apartment complex to try and establish right relationship. And every time I go out, the next day there's new trash. And I don't know where it comes from. And Sarenth and Amabrand were like, well, maybe you're not supposed to, did you ask? And I was like, good frickin' point. They were saying now that sometimes, you wanting to clean up that space is really about your ego. It's about you wanting to beautify the space and not about what that spirit of that space wants.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting, because I know you did that as an act of
right. It was an act of service,
right.
as part of my work for Gwyn's healing, but that was an act I dedicated to my gods,
right? Not
to the local spirits,
right?
Here.
So the question is, and I don't know the answer to this. You may. Mm-hmm. Which should you, before you do that act for your gods, before you even make that bargain with your gods,
right.
for lack of a better way of putting it? Do you go to the local spirits and go, hey, is it okay if?
Right. And I think probably I should have, and I didn't. So this is, again, one of those things where, I'm new, and I'm gonna screw up, and sometimes that means I need to go back and say, I'm really sorry for this thing that I did, which was rude.
Right.
You don't have to forgive me, but I'm gonna tell you that I'm sorry for this fuck up I did. Is there anything I can do to make it up to you? So that's some work I'm gonna have to do now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, it was a really, really interesting.
Yeah, every time you go to see Sarenth Odinson.
Every time.
I know. It's almost like you shouldn't go see him.
Right?
I'm good.
Every time my experience of my practice changes.
But that's good though, because it means you're,
I'm growing.
You're
I'm learning.
Growing and you're stepping outside your comfort zone.
Well, part of this is that I'm a solitary.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So I don't have a teacher. I don't have a mentor instructing me. I'm just sort of trying to put it together on my own parts, and build the puzzle. And sometimes, I'm not even using pieces from my own puzzle, and I don't even know. So, it's good to go to the elders, for lack of a better word,
Right.
Yep.
and say, like, here's this thing I tried and I'm not sure it worked out, and have them say, that's because you did it wrong.
Right.
Which is why I think going to things like Michigan Pagan Fest and to Convocation and any of these pagan events that have these classes available to them with teachers who have, this kind of experience, maybe in your path, maybe not, but could give you insight that you might not think about before. I think it's incredibly important.
It's extremely valuable.
It's very valuable, especially if you're a solitary, because you don't have that input from community to say, hey, I could use a little instruction here.
Yep.
I'm learning this on my own. What wisdom can you share with me? And as we've mentioned before, it can be very hard to, to connect to the pagan community in your area,
and even
if you can even find them.
And the thing is, even if you connect with the pagans in your area, there's no guarantee that there are elders in your tradition in your area.
Exactly.
Right. Yep.
Exactly.
Just because there are other heathens in my area doesn't mean that they're heathens who know any more than I do.
Exactly. You could all be beginners.
Exactly. So being able to go to a place where I know an elder is going to be, and Sarenth isn't a heathen, he's a northern tradition shaman.
Right.
But the northern tradition and heathenism, there's some like friction there that I think is stupid. I think these paths should get along more than they do.
Right.
Not least because every time I go listen to Sarenth Odinson, I'm like, you make so much fucking sense.
Right.
So, I don't know. It's nice to be able to go to a class taught by someone who clearly, like, unequivocally knows his shit.
Right. Yep.
And ask questions and be like, here's this thing I did, and get back feedback for like, well, maybe you shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Right.
Have you considered this other thing you should have done?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think all of those are really good things. All right. So Sunday.
Yeah. Okay, so first we should probably talk about the main ritual. That was Saturday night, which we didn't attend.
Right, yeah, we didn't. We went to get
Cajun
crawfish
food.
etouffee and everything else. We went to a Cajun restaurant.
We went to a Cajun restaurant and got dinner instead.
I blame it on Orion. It's a southern accent.
It probably was what inspired us to go get Cajun.
Well, actually, I thought it was Pat and Paul
Pat
of Arts and Crafts.
Yeah.
Because we
Pat and
saw
Paul
them.
were there vending. We didn't buy anything from them because they're close enough that we can just go.
We're going to be going seeing them in a few weeks. But yeah, they were there and they recommended the restaurant.
So we went to that. But the reason that we did that was that the main ritual changed.
Yeah.
Sort of at the last minute. It was originally going to be an
Ancestor-based.
ancestor-focused main ritual. And it changed, I think an hour or two before the main ritual actually started, at least was when we were told that it was changed, to a ritual that was about children and protecting children.
Well, it was also, I think it was originally inspired by the situation that's going on with the immigrant children.
I'm sure.
And then it evolved into not just the immigrant children, but all children.
Right. And your inner child, as I understand it.
Yes, yeah.
And I was really disappointed because I had been really looking forward to this main rit. My ancestors and my work with my ancestors are really important to me. So I was really excited to go to that, and I didn't have enough time between finding out the ritual had changed and the ritual starting to process that disappointment.
Right.
And I didn't want to bring it with me into the ritual, because if you're not going to go into it wholeheartedly, I feel like you shouldn't go it. Yep. And bring your shit in with you to the ritual.
Right.
So my understanding is the main ritual was very, very good, and that it was very moving for a lot of people, and people got, instructions, and there was apparently a really spectacular rainbow.
Double rainbow.
A double rainbow at the end, which is
which there are pictures.
There are
for,
pictures
so,
on the Michigan Pagan Fest Facebook, which is a sign you can't fake.
Right.
Exactly.
So my understanding is the main ritual was very good, but unfortunately I can't tell you anything about it because I didn't go.
None of us did.
None of us did.
No, none of us did. I did hear about it from Lady Dame when I went to her class the next day, which was on clarity and intent in your work. It was another one of those discussion type classes where we discuss what does it mean to have clarity and intention in your work. So that was very good. But one of the things she used as an example was this main writ, because she felt like there wasn't a lot of clarity because it was put together so quickly.
Right.
And because it was, I think she said 8 different traditions.
Yeah,
and
it was
various layers
of circles.
Circles. And it was actually a very complicated sounding.
A very complex interwoven ritual.
interwoven ritual that was put together in a very short period of time.
Yeah. We spend a lot of time. The ritual we did when we came
Right, we
back.
spent probably 3 days workshopping.
Well, we spent 3 days workshopping before we did. So, and we're only putting 3 traditions together.
Exactly. And I even feel like that could have used more baking.
It could have used more time.
Yeah,
it really could have. So I can imagine what it must have been like for for
Right.
those who were
to have like
leading.
an 8 tradition ritual that was put together in, I don't know, 6 hours or something.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, but they, but as you said,
Mad skills to do it at all, frankly.
Right, yep.
But my understanding is that people were very moved and that it was a good ritual. People were, pleased and things like that. But that was the class that I went to with her. And then I also went to...
and during that time, I was at Orion Foxwood's third class, Resacredizing the Underworld. Right. And I won't go on about that again. But again, Orion Foxwood can't beat him. Extremely good.
Exactly. And hopefully he's going to come back next year.
Wouldn't that be nice? I just want to see Orion Foxwood at everything I go to from now on.
So just if you could have classes with Orion Foxwood and Sarah Odinson,
just back to back for the rest of my life. That would be ideal. Yeah,
that would be ideal.
If I could just boomerang from Orion Foxwood to Sarah Odinson over and over again, that would be great. Thanks.
But the other class I went to on Sunday was a tarot class, and it was a beginning and intermediate tarot class, which I found
by Solanox Silverstar, who was actually the person who did the Working with Loki workshop earlier that I went to.
And I really enjoyed it because I do tarot. I've taught myself tarot over the years and whatnot. But what was great about this is I've never actually taken a tarot class, So she did a wonderful job of explaining, the major arcana, the minor arcana, that the major arcana is actually a storyline that you follow and all this kind of stuff. And I thoroughly enjoyed that. And I'm going to be bringing what I learned into my own tarot readings from now on.
Perfect.
Excellent.
Did you do anything else?
I went to one more class while Gwyn was at beginning and intermediate tarot. I was at Byron Ballard's Tower Time, Now What? Which was sort of one part Byron saying, listen, it's okay to grieve the fact that the world is a fucking disaster right now, and it's important to pick your battles and focus on the things in your local community and dealing with those things. She said pick 3 things to be the things that you care about, and just trust that other people are picking up the other things.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah. And then at the end, there was a little bit where the people who were in the class just sort of talked to each other about the things we're working on. So I went off about some stuff about the southern border.
Yeah.
And a particular
organization. That I'm real mad at right now.
Mm-hmm. That is a Michigan organization.
Yeah.
You're welcome for me making you mad.
Yeah. Not that it's hard to make me mad. any injustice whatsoever, and my brain's like, cool, now we're in rage mode. Let's go destroy something.
Yep. Righteous indignation. Good fuel,
It's my default setting. So that was an interesting class. Byron Ballard's very much of a, the system's broken, just let it die if you can't actively tear it down. And I'm not sure that that's 100% the way to go all the time. Some of those systems are literal lifelines for people who if we don't have replacements for them, we can't afford to tear down.
Yeah.
But I understand the sentiment, certainly.
Yeah. One other thing I wanted to throw in, because I didn't go to any classes.
Right.
But I spent a lot of my time mingling with people. I got to spend some time...
you even got to talk to some of the headliners.
Yeah, talking one-on-two with Lady Dame and Orion Foxwood, which was great for me to be able to talk to them briefly about some stuff. Right, yeah. I mean, just about where we're from, because Orion and my family are basically from the same
area.
Yeah, within probably 25 or 30 miles.
Right.
Which in the Appalachians is forever.
Right.
But close enough now that you go, oh yeah, there's a road that connects those two now.
Right.
So that was really cool for me. But I think the biggest thing for me was at the very end when they were kind of wrapping everything up on Sunday before the final ritual, which we didn't stay for because we had to drive
home. The raffle?
Yeah, well, the raffle was fine. I mean, the raffle's the raffle.
It was fun.
But the cool part of it was watching them honor the lady who started Michigan Pagan Fest.
That was very
Diane,
cool.
And how they honored her in that.
And gave her a sock.
And then released her with a Dobby sock.
A Dobby sock. It was adorable.
So she's now free.
She's free.
Yep. And the fact that they honored Bill from Pagans in Need.
Yeah. This was so good.
By making Pagans in Need the
nonprofit.
Yeah, the nonprofit that they sponsor for the next 5 years.
Yep.
And Bill does amazing work with
Which is a
Pagans
big
in Need.
deal.
Yeah. It was great. We love Bill. We love
do.
the Pagans in Need project. It's very important to us. And
Well, it's a food pantry.
right.
Right,
And listen, we've had to go to a food pantry. And sometimes you just need that. Like,
Right.
it's so important to have those resources.
Exactly.
But I can tell you how frustrating it is to go to a food
go to a
pantry,
Christian food
and
pantry.
then they want to pray for you, and then they want you to listen to this Bible verse, and then they want, and I just want to, hurt them.
Right. Well, you just want to get food.
Yeah, I just want my
wanna get the
food.
food.
You
Right.
want to get food, not a sermon. You're not there for a sermon.
Right.
You're there because you
Exactly.
need to eat.
Right. And Pagans in Need doesn't do any of that.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
they
it's
just give people the
right.
food
Yep.
they need. And they have community gardens so people can learn how to garden. It's wonderful.
It's
Yeah.
a wonderful organization, and it's so great.
And we fully support Pagans in Need and what they're doing, and their executive director Bill, who we love. But
Yeah.
and we're gonna have him here on the podcast
At some point, yeah.
Yeah,
Pagans
I've already talked to Bill about that.
Yeah, so we can't give you an ETA on that, but it's
Right.
coming at some point.
Yep.
And, but yeah, so it was just really cool to see that. And then if anybody wants to go to Michigan Pagan Fest next year,
Yeah, this is great.
if you bring 3 cans of non-expired
Right.
canned food, you get $5 off your ticket, and those 3 cans of food
Go to
Pagans in Need.
in
Yeah,
Need.
so
It's wonderful. It's great that they've chosen them as the organization to sponsor.
There's
Yep.
not a more worthy organization.
That is
than
No.
the
Yep.
truth.
Yep.
It really is. So I have a question.
In
And
the words of Lady Dame, it all starts with food.
it's right.
Right, yep.
It's all about the food,
Yeah.
man. Okay, so we talked about this the other day, so I'm going to ask you
Oh, right,
again. So we've been to
Convocation.
Convocation in February, and now we've been to Michigan Pagan Fest. What are your feelings about the two? If you had to choose one, which would you choose and why?
Gwyn asked us this question a couple of days ago,
Yep.
independently, and Cara and I gave identical answers.
exactly identical answers. Yeah. Yep.
Tell them what you said.
So Convocation was classroom experience.
Right. I described it as like a business conference.
Yep.
And
Where
it's
you
a
go to
great
meet
place.
your peers and learn about your craft.
Right.
Yep, and it's excellent.
Right. And it's good for networking, and I enjoyed it tremendously. Like,
Right.
I met
think
people
I
there.
networked quite a bit there.
Right.
But
But it felt, I don't want to say it felt formal, but it felt more
Businessy.
professional?
Right, yeah.
Businessy.
Yeah.
It felt like you go there to hit up classes and learn things.
Right.
And then go home.
and Michigan Pagan Fest felt
Like a family reunion.
exactly. It really did. It felt like a family reunion.
And that's wild because we didn't know hardly anyone there. We knew Pat and Paul and we knew Bill.
That's it.
yeah, that's pretty much it.
Those
yeah.
are the only
That's it.
people we had met in person before. And well,
I had met a couple more because I
Right.
mingled at
right.
Convocation.
Well, and like I had gone to a previous Sarah Thotenson class, so
Right.
like I recognized him as
Right.
as an individual.
But as far as
but
just
like
people in general, we didn't really know most of the festival
No, yeah,
goers.
yeah.
But you still,
But it still felt
you
like
were
family.
in
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I felt included in everything.
Exactly.
We ate a common meal together.
Yep, in like a cafeteria.
Yep. For lunch and dinner.
Yep.
And then Sunday morning, Lady Dame made us all breakfast.
Yeah.
So,
With some
Cara and I didn't eat because we were worried about getting to our class on time.
Right.
But Gwyn stayed and ate breakfast, and she says it was very good.
and I
And
still
made it to
got
class
to
on
class
time.
on time.
So
and
we were needlessly concerned.
you were needlessly concerned.
But Cara and I have a thing about being
compulsion.
on time.
Yeah.
But Lady Dame, I'll have to say, Lady Dame had like an army of people
Helpers,
helping
yeah.
her.
Yeah.
And she also came out and said, I know we're late, but I made a promise that everybody's going to eat their breakfast and get to class on time. And they did.
for the most part.
For the
yeah,
most part,
yeah,
they
yeah.
did.
Yeah, there were a few stragglers,
Yep.
but there's frankly always a few stragglers.
There's
Right, yeah.
always
Yeah.
stragglers, yeah.
Doesn't matter what time the class is.
Nope.
Well, that's pretty much our Michigan Pagan Fest
Yeah, I think
special
that,
episode.
I think that
of-
covered everything.
Release the Kraken.
He's doing that to mock me because I used to, when I was a child, be able to do the claw voice, and I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, it's totally to mock you. That's why I did. Okay.
Other than also, it just sounds fucking
It
cool
sounds great, yeah.
because the theme was Release the Kraken, and if you can say it like that, that just makes
Right?
it
Why
spectacular.
wouldn't you say it like that if you
say it
can?
Like that if you can?
I have said it like that the entire
Yeah,
time.
3 or 4 times.
Yeah. Not even just on this podcast.
No,
but just in
repeatedly,
general.
yeah.
That's the thing. So again, we do want to thank you for just for listening. We want to thank
helping
you for
us get there.
helping us get there. And
We want to thank the coordinators of Michigan Pagan Fest for the awesome festival they put
Yep.
on.
That's right. All the vendors that were there sharing their wares who missed a lot of stuff.
Right, yeah, because they had to be trapped in the vendor place the whole
at
time.
The vendor
Yeah, the vendor thing was open the entire
It was
time.
open
Yeah.
the entire time.
Yep.
Yeah,
It was
so-
really, really impressive.
Yeah, I have an ooh moment.
Okay.
Okay, we made stickers
Oh, that's right.
for Michigan Pagan Fest,
Right.
and we have some left. So if you would like a sticker, and you email me your address,
We will send you a sticker.
at 3, the number 3, pagansandAcat.com. So that's car, like the thing you drive, at the number 3, pagansandAcat.com, and say, I want one of these stickers.
Here's my mailing address.
And it's the family cats.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've seen that picture, which you probably have if you've been on any of our stuff.
Yep.
It's the picture of the family cats. It says 3pagansandAcat.com on it. And I'd
And
love to send you one. So
They're little, like, 2-inch stickers. They honestly turned out pretty
They're
well.
really
Yeah.
cute. You can stick them on a bumper, stick them on a notebook, stick
I would
them
not
on
stick them on
your
a bumper.
laptop.
I don't
Yeah,
think
they're
they would
really
last.
small
Are
for
they
a bumper.
really small?
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody would have to literally probably be on top of you in
Yeah,
order to see it.
tailgating.
But it'd be a cute little something that people go, what is that spot?
But no, you could put them on a notebook or a laptop.
Notebook or a laptop or any. Shoot, probably they'd fit on a phone case if the case
Yeah, they
was
probably
big
would.
enough.
And you can find us at 3pagansandAcat.com. You can also find us at facebook.com/3 PAAC. That's 3-pack, in case you're wondering. You can also find us on Twitter. Oddly enough, you need to do at 3_pagans to get us there. If you want our Discord server, which is famously active right
Right.
now.
There are
we
so
love
many people
you.
there on Discord.
Thank you so much for talking to us and to each other on Discord.
Yeah, other times we don't even show up and they
And
just
they're
have...
Oh, they're just having a good
Chit-chatting.
time.
Right, yep.
We love it. We absolutely
It's
love
great.
it.
Yep.
It's great.
So, if you want to get to the Discord or you want to get to our Patreon to help support us, so all of our Patreon supporters, thank you very much. Actually, we have a new one, right?
do?
This time?
We do?
Is Vex new?
No,
We did that last time?
we did that last time.
Okay,
Well,
so we
look at
don't.
that. Ignore the fact that we have a new one.
If you'd like to be a new one,
If you want to be the new one and get your name mentioned on the podcast, feel free to just jump over to that old Patreon and sign up, and
How are
it'll
you
be
doing
perfect.
this voice?
doing
I
this
have no
voice?
idea. All of a sudden, I was looking at the microphone.
He started it and now he
And-
can't stop.
You can't
I
stop.
was looking
stop.
at the microphone and I thought Duke's a hazard.
Oh,
Go
God.
on, Dukes of Hazzard.
So anyway, you can find all of that information on the 3pagansandAcat.com website. I'm just leaving it. It's okay. We'll go with it.
All right. Well, yeah, all those things are linked
Yeah,
Yes.
in the individual episodes.
Yep.
that's
So
right.
you can
Or some
find
of them
us.
at the top of the page.
You can. God, there he goes again. You can find us in all
right.
these places.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
You've been listening to 3 Pagans and a Cat. Find out more information at www.3pagansandAcat.com.